Hi, welcome back to my channel. I've just got this very detailed makeup tutorial for you today. This is an older video. Like you guys know, my channel was actually hacked a few months ago, and I'm having to kind of like re-upload my videos. So some of them I'm having to do a new voiceover for because the music kept coming up as a copyright. So this is one of my old videos, so you may have seen this before, but it's a really detailed video, and I'm really glad actually that I'm putting it up again because sometimes I think people may have missed some videos as well. So I've tried out a new Pakistani foundation here, and this is the Masarrat Misbah foundation that I used today. And I can't tell you how blown away I was with the results of the foundation and the results of the videos and pictures with no editing. So I'm going to go through everything with you step by step, so carry on watching. So I've started off with the eyebrows, and I'm using a angled brush, and I'm using my Kat Von D brow gel just to shape the eyebrows. Now the eyebrows are quite thin here, so slowly I just kind of like made them a little bit thicker than what they were, shaped them a little bit, and then I'm going to shape them more with my concealer. Now I just wanted to mention that the foundation that I used today did not match my model's skin tone. My model was really tanned, but I just wanted to test out this foundation, so it was the only shade I had. So it is lighter, but again it does kind of like all blend away later on, and you can't really see the difference, but ideally obviously I would have matched up. Now I've gone in with my Tarte concealer, and I'm just using this to carve out the eyebrows, and I'm going to create my base for my makeup now. So I'm using a flat synthetic brush here, and I'm applying the concealer all over the lid, and I'm going to carve out above the eyebrows as well. Now you match up a little bit better here. I kind of like don't have all the shades sometimes, and sometimes I will just grab my concealer because I know I'm going to be able to blend it out later on. But if you're doing this on yourselves, or if you're new to makeup, I would suggest that you actually use a color that matches a little bit better than what I've done, because I've actually gone quite lighter here. But I think it's because of the years of experience I have. I know how to correct things as I'm going along. But if you are new to makeup, I would say that use a slightly darker shade here. So as you can see, I've carved out the brows, top and bottom. I've got the product on the lid, and now what I'm going to do is blend this out. So if I leave the product just sat here, when I go back in with my foundation, the edges are actually going to be a little bit harsh, and you're going to be able to see that color peeking through. Also, there is too much product there at the moment, so I'm using a clean fluffy brush. I've tapped away on the eyelids first, and I'm going to be starting to tap away just so that I can get rid of all the extra product that I've got there. And what I will do is I will keep wiping this on the back of my hands, and to make sure that this doesn't actually, I don't have excess product there. And then also above the brows, I keep blending away until I'm happy and I know that I can actually blend this out with my foundation. So I'm going in with my first colour. I'm going to start off with the socket area. I'm using a light dark brown from my Jacqueline Hill palette. So I absolutely love this palette, by the way. If this palette is not in your kit, I think it is a really good investment if you can still get your hands on it. So this is a really nice palette to use. So my base here was wet. I didn't add any powder. Okay, so I've gone in with my eyeshadow, and I'm tapping it on the corner. So when I tap it on, I'm not blending, I'm literally just tapping it on to get the color payoff. Now once you can actually feel it underneath, it's a bit difficult to move around the brush as well, the product is wet. So once I can feel that the product is on, the powders are on, then I start blending. So I'm just blending on the outer corners now. Now if you find this a little bit difficult, before you go in with your eyeshadows, you can use a little bit of translucent powder and just tap it onto the eyes, and then go in with your eyeshadow colours. So it's completely up to you. You can do the powder or you don't have to. It's completely up to you. So I'm blending out the outer corners with a slightly fluffier brush, and I'm using a slightly lighter colour on that brush as well. And then I always go back into the first colour I use. So again, I'm deepening the socket area again. I will then change my brush and use a fluffier brush, and I will smoke out the outer corners. So you have to do this a few times. You can't just get the colour payoff the very first time. And this is how you actually get a really good blend as well. So you want to make sure you go back in a few times and do these steps so that you actually get a really good blend in your eye makeup. So I've actually got the brush, both of them are actually in my hand, and I keep alternating, just trying to get that blend. Once I'm happy, I've then added on like an orangey toned brown now, and I'm using this as my transition color. So sometimes I do it the other way around, but I'm actually doing it this way around this time. So I've gone in with my socket color first, and this is my transition color. So I'm trying to blend the harsh edges now and just making sure there's a good blend. Now next I'm going in with my fingers, and I'm using a gold shimmery shadow. Now this is actually from my Kashees palette, eye makeup palette. So I bought these products quite a while back, and I absolutely love the eyeshadows, to be honest with you. The foundation was great as well. I have got another tutorial, but I need to use that more to be able to give you my honest opinion whether I think it works. But I go in with my finger. There's no other product. I've not wet my finger or anything like that, and I'm just tapping this on. I've gone in twice now. So I like to use, I mean, you can use a brush if you want to, but I find that the payoff is not amazing. So I find that with shimmery colors, it's better to go in with your finger. Really press it and sweep down. Press, slide, and that's the way you will get your good coverage. And go in at least 2 or 3 times. You don't want to go in too many times, because otherwise these shadows can have a tendency to crack a little bit. So if you get like powdery or cracky eyes, you may have gone in with a bit too much product, so just be careful. Again, I'm going in with that fluffy brush which hasn't got much product in, just to blend out the harsh edges. So you have to keep doing these things to get a good blend of the eye makeup. So once the eye makeup you're happy with, then you can decide whether you want to go for glitter or not. I did, so I'm using the Kashees eyeshadow base, because I was actually going to use his glitters as well, his shimmer. So I think this works really well. If not, you can just use NYX glue and any other glitters that you have. So I'm tapping this on. So I went for like a bronzy gold first as the gold, and then the gold glitter that I have is more of a yellowy gold. So I added this on with a fluffy brush, and you just tap it on, and it just gives you the most amazing shimmer. It really is a lovely product, but you don't want to go in with too much either, because otherwise it will crack. So just balance that out. So it looks really, really nice, and it really gives you that effective pop without, it's not like a proper glitter, it's more of like a very, very fine shimmer, but in a powder formula. But they are really, really nice. So again, I'm just tapping this on, and now I have to go back into the socket area. Some people leave the eye makeup like this and it looks very unfinished. So now I have to go back into my eye sockets, and I have to make sure that that color, the depth that I had, is how I want it, and I start blending out again. So this process can take quite a while to do, but it's worth your while to do it, because you want the finished look to be really nice and blended. So you can see I'm just taking a little bit of colour, not too much colour here. You're just literally going to tap it into the eyeshadow, and you're going to blend away. And again, I'm just cleaning out the outer edges with a very clean fluffy brush. Now I'm just highlighting the brow bone. I don't always do this, occasionally I do. Today obviously I did, and I'm just taking, this is actually a shimmery eyeshadow again from one of Kashees palettes, and I'm just taking this underneath the brow bone. And this also cleans up any mistakes you've done, you know, like your transition colour. If you've taken it too high, you can actually use this method, and then it kind of like cleans the eye up for you a bit more, and you can just tone down the transition colour. So again, I'm blending the eyeshadow that's between the transition colour and the eyeshadow that I've just added underneath the brow bone. Otherwise there's sometimes a really stark difference, and I don't like seeing that. So just very lightly, I'm just blending everything out. Now it's time for eyeliner. So depending on what kind of look you want to go for, I'm going for a liquid eyeliner. So sometimes I go for a smoky shadow, and sometimes I'll go for eyeliner, and I do take my time. I'm using a liquid liner. This is again from Kashees. You don't have to go get this. It is a great eyeliner, but there's plenty that you can get from here as well in the UK. So I'm starting off from the outer corners, and literally I'm just drawing on like a guideline for myself, and then once my lashes are on, that's when I perfect my eyeliner. So all I'm doing here is I've winged it out a little bit, but my proper wing I will create once the lashes are on. So I'm just, this is more of a guideline, so I'm just doing a little bit. And you've got to be careful as well when the model opens her eyes that the eyeliner is dry. You don't want it to be touching the top, because that is really difficult to clean up afterwards. So I'm just taking my time. I've just used the angle of the eyes and I've just gone straight out, and then I make like a slight line at halfway through the line, and I'm thickening it up there. So I don't start my thickness at the end point of the eyeliner, if that makes sense. Otherwise it becomes really, really thick. So I want the ends to be quite thin. So slowly I fill this in, and then I will just create a smooth line as much as I can at that point, and then pull out my eyeliner a little bit, and then I will clean the eyes up, get the lashes on, and that's what kind of like guides me later on, as in how much more I want to pull it out or how thick I want my eyeliner. So take your time when you're doing this. And फिर इस तरीके से ये होता है कि आपकी जो लाइन है ना वो थिन ही रहती है, मतलब ज़्यादा कई दफ़ा होता है कि आईलाइनर में यहाँ पे एक थिक लाइन हो जाती है, आपका पॉइंट liquid liners that you get like this one that I'm using here. So but it's better to use like a waterproof liner, because obviously brides do cry, so you don't want this running down the face or anything. So now that I've got my eyeliner in place, my eyeshadow is done, I'm going to clean up underneath the eyes. I'm just using a wipe here, and I'm really kind of like shaping the eye and getting rid of all that extra product, the concealer and everything that I had underneath the eyes. And then we're going to start on the base. So with the base, I do like to do quite a bit of skincare, so I am just going in with a little bit of hyaluronic serum. So I do a lot of skincare, but when it comes to my brides, I don't do too much either, because sometimes the product can interfere with your foundation that you're applying, so you have to be careful. So at the moment, the products that I'm using, they don't interfere, so I'm just using a simple hyaluronic serum. I'm using a little bit of eye cream because of all the work and products that we're going to be adding underneath the eye, so you just want some hydration there. And then I will go in with a little bit of moisturizer. Again, you don't have to go in with too many products here. So on the waterline, I'm just using, I wanted like a white liner, so a lot of the times I will use the Kryolan paint stick, but here I'm using the Kashees white liner, which I obviously bought, so I had it so I can use it, and it is really pigmented. But you could go for the Inglot eyeliners as well, the gel liners. You could get one in white or the nude there. Sometimes white can be quite in your face, and the neutral one actually looks nicer, but for this particular look I wanted to do the white eyeliner look, so that's what I'm doing. So I'm pulling the eyes down a little bit. I'm just using a very thin brush, and I'm tapping on this product, and then I'm just giving it a second too, just so that it doesn't, because she's wearing lenses, I didn't want the product to touch her lenses, because sometimes while it's drying it can stick onto your lenses as well, so you just have to be a bit careful. Stuck on my lashes, so in between while I was doing the skincare, I already cut and measured the lashes, and then I've just put the glue on and waited for it to get tacky, and then adding on my lashes. Now my lashes, I'm not sure what style I used here. They possibly could be the Tatti Lashes TL4, but I can't remember for 100%, so don't quote me on that. But yeah, so I'm sticking on my eyelashes, so this again will now take a few minutes to stick down properly, and the model needs to, or the bride needs to, get used to these. Then I'm going on with my primer, so I'm just using the Benefit Professional primer. I really like this primer. It does make a difference, and it does kind of like blur out your pores. And the way I put it on is I just put it on the cheek area mainly and the nose, and I really go round and round circles and really kind of like absorb this into the skin. Now I'm colour correcting, so I'm colour correcting with my Makeup Forever Essentials palette. So this is a palette full of foundations and some blushes, but I go in with like the darker colour, and I use that for colour correcting, and it just takes away any greyness and things like that before I'm applying my base. Now like I mentioned, my base is actually a lot lighter for my model, her skin tone, so going in with a colour corrector and just making sure you colour correct everything, it makes a difference. So I'm going to start off with, this is the Masarrat Misbah foundation, by the way. So this you can get from Pakistan. I'm not sure if you can order it to the UK. I would have to look for that, but I know with the Kashees products you can't, but I'm not sure with the Masarrat Misbah foundation. I've heard tons of good things about this, so I've gone in with my Kryolan paint stick. Someone actually recommended me to use this with the Kryolan paint stick to see how it works, and it worked really, really well. It was seriously, it was really, really stunning. The way it photographed and videoed without any filters or having to add any smoothing or anything like that, it was really, really nice. Now, the Kryolan paint stick I went on, so I've painted it on. This is the best way to apply it. I know it's not the most fantastic way, but I've tried it in different ways and it just doesn't work. So on top of that, I've used my Masarrat Misbah liquid foundation. So I'm tapping this on, sweeping it on, basically painting it on with a brush. And then as I'm brushing it on, I'm blending away the Kryolan a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit. So I'm just moving the product that's underneath it as well. You could mix these two first, you could try and do it like that, but this is the easiest way to do it, I think. Just grab on your Kryolan, so you can see that line on the forehead. I need to blend it out, but I blend it out completely afterwards. But while I'm adding on my liquid foundation, I'm very slowly and lightly just blending out the harsh lines as well a little bit. Now, because the foundation was a little bit lighter, obviously both the foundations were slightly lighter, there is a little bit of grayness there, but it does kind of like go later on because I will correct it with my contouring and things like that and the blusher. So take your time here. I always go down to the neckline. I would never have this kind of difference, by the way, if it was a real bride or anything like that. It's just because it was a model and I'm testing out my foundation, and this is how I wanted to test it out. So once I've blended it out with my brush, I use a damp beauty blender and I tap away for a good few minutes to blend everything out. Now, on the neck, I did have to color correct a little bit more because I didn't do any color correcting initially, so I could really see the difference, even though in the pictures you couldn't tell that much, but because I could really see it was really bugging me, so I did color correct a little bit later on onto the neck area as well. So you're going to tap away your foundation for quite a while, and this is the key to you getting a really good base, and it's not going to look cakey as well. So I've tapped away, really blending it out until it doesn't look that wet anymore, and then you're going to tap away and just make sure I always go in with the final layer of foundation, so I just tapped a few dots on again, and then I'm going in with my damp beauty blender again just to get that really nice finish. So you just, like I said, this bit you can't skip on either. You want to make sure that this is really blended nicely. Once you're happy with your blend, you can move on to your concealer. So I'm going in with my liquid concealer. So these are the Tarte concealers that I'm using at the moment. I use so many different ones. So here I've obviously used Tarte, and I've painted on quite a big triangle. But now, because the foundation it's lighter, but it's also slight wrong tone, so I'm going to correct it with my highlighting and my contouring now as well. So I'm going underneath the eyes, and I have done this model before and I know she can carry this kind of makeup off, and that's why I was quite happy to be able to do this experiment with the foundation on her. So you can see I'm painting on the concealer underneath the eyes, and then I'm going to go in the middle of the forehead, down the center of the nose, and then also on the chin area. And I normally put some just underneath the jawline as well, just to help me with my contour and with my blending afterwards. So before I'm going to blend this, I'm just giving it a quick spritz of, this was the Professional spray that I've got. It's a hydrating spray, and I've just tapped that on before I'm brushing, using a brush to tap out the concealer. So occasionally I use my beauty blender, but lately I actually like using a brush instead. And what I'm doing is, you can see that I'm keeping the product where it is mainly and just blending it out in the center of the face here, and then underneath the eyes as well. Underneath the eyes you have got quite a bit of product there, so you're going to take your time. So what I do is, any extra product I keep wiping off on the back of my hand, but I keep lightly tapping away until I can feel that the product again is getting absorbed into the skin, is blending out, not looking too wet. And then I will make sure there's no creases in it before I go back in with my powder. So you need to again take your time here. I've got to be careful with my eyeliner because I have got a little bit of a wing there that I've already done, so I need to make sure that I don't ruin that as well. And I'm just making sure that I tap away this concealer now. If I leave it and I don't tap away too much, you are going to get so many creases and your makeup just slipping and sliding later on. It's not going to look good. Now the next thing you want to do is set this. So I'm setting this with a bit of powder. Now there's a few different ways I do setting of the face. So this time what I've done is I've got a little bit of Laura Mercier powder, the loose one, and I'm using my beauty blender, and what I'm doing is I'm adding this underneath the eyes and the centre of the face, and I normally just take a little bit onto the neck area as well, and I tap this away until it completely gets absorbed and you can't see it anywhere. So I'm not baking at the moment, I'm just setting a little bit of the makeup. I don't really go on the contour areas and things like that. So literally where I've put my my concealer mainly, that's where my main areas are, especially around the nose area as well. So you want to make sure you grab these areas. So this helps me with my baking, if you're wondering why I did that, because if you go straight in with your baking, sometimes it can start looking cakey, and this is one of the techniques I think that is the best one to use to make sure you don't have cakey makeup. So now I've gone in with my baking, I'm using a powder puff, and I've used the Huda Beauty powder in pound cake, I'm sure it was, and you can see I've used quite a bit of powder there. So now I've gone underneath my contour lines, and this will help me with the baking and the slightly brighter eye makeup underneath, and then also for any fallout now, because now I'm going to work on underneath the eyes. Now underneath the eyes I wasn't going for a very heavy look, so I've gone for like an orangey toned brown, and I'm using this again, this is from the Kashees palette as well, and I'm using this underneath. So I'm just using a small brush, and I'm really working it on the outer third of the eyes more. That's where I wanted more of the colour, so I didn't want anything too dark going on here. And then I'm just using a slightly lighter colour underneath it just to blend this all out as well. And any fallout that I'll have here will be caught in that loose powder, and when I wipe that away it'll get wiped away as well, and there shouldn't be any issues. So now I'm going to contour. Again, I'm using my Kashees products. This was the time when I actually had just ordered my products, so I was making lots of videos using these products, just trying them out, and I still like the Kashees contour palette. I do actually use this quite a bit now as well. So I love the tones. I love a cool tone bronzer, but also like the ones that have slight warmth in it, which these colours do. So I'm using this, I'm just using an angled brush, and I'm just using the brush to add in more depth to the face now and more colour. And the warm tones is actually better here because the cool tone wouldn't have looked good with the shade of the foundation. I'm also contouring just along the jawline. I don't do very heavy sharp contours, I like more of a blended look. So the powder that you've got underneath basically does help out with the contour lines as well, so that you don't have a very sharp look and you can blend it all out. So I'll use a slightly smaller brush now just to come down on the sides of the nose. I'm using the same palette. Sometimes I will turn to a bronzer or a bronzing powder just to use on the nose because I think it's a little bit more subtle on the nose, but today I'm using this contour palette all over. And you can see how amazing the eyes look as well, just with that glitter, the shimmer that we use. It just gives you such a pop. So like I told you, a lot of my videos got deleted, so I am going to be uploading them again, and then after that hopefully I will be coming out with new content. So now blusher time. So I'm using the Kashees palette again. I love this blush palette actually because I love the fact that he's got one or two in there that have got shimmers in them, and you don't even need to use highlight because when you use the when you use just the blusher, it just gives you such a beautiful glow, and they're really pretty. So I've only added on a little bit here. I will add on a bit later on as well. And then also what I always do is I use a damp beauty blender to kind of like blend out my blusher because I just want it, I don't want it as low as it is at the moment. So you can see I'm just mixing my colours. I'm really going on to the apples of the cheeks as well and just making sure that everything is being blended nicely. And you can just start to see that glow coming a little bit because that's where I wanted the glow, just on the apples of the cheeks, and it's the middle two shades that really work nicely. So once I'm happy with this, I'm going to be brushing away all my powders, and at the moment I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless filter and the MAC powders together. Now sometimes I use them separately, but I'm using them together here, and I'm just brushing them on a little bit, and then I'm brushing away and pressing on to the loose powder that was already there. Once you've done all that, you've powdered loads here, so I do hydrate it. I have used the MAC Fix Plus here, I'm sure, just to hydrate the face, and it just melts all the powders into your skin as well, so it gives you a really nice finish. And then I go in with, finishing off. Sometimes I will go in with a little bit more highlighter at this point as well, and go in with a little bit more blusher just to emphasize the cheeks a little bit more. But for here I'm just going to clean up the eyes as well. So what I do is I don't apply mascara first sometimes, so I will now use my fingers and really run this mascara through her natural lashes and the lashes that I've added, and really make sure that they kind of like become one, so that it doesn't look bad afterwards. And also I will always kind of like go over the gold eyeshadow a little bit, go over the eyeliner a little bit, because these are your finishing touches. These are what make a really big difference to your makeup. So it's always important, because after that powdering you always tend to get it on your lashes, your eyeliner. The pop of the gold that you've added sometimes needs that just slight intensity by adding on a little bit more. So lipsticks, I use these 3 lipsticks. I have got them listed as well. So I start off, I love using these 3 lipsticks, but I kind of like create my own shade. So I went in with a dark lip liner, then I started off with the darker color on the outer of the lips, and then I fill it in with the other 2 slightly. I've got a lighter red, and then there's a slightly orangey red as well, which I use right in the middle of the lips. And I just do this until I'm happy with the shade, but I don't want to go in with too many layers either, because these are liquid lipsticks and they can dry your lips out. So that is the one thing that you need to be aware of as well. So I'll do like a very thin layer, let it dry out, and then I'll go in with my next layer. But I kind of like leave a bit of a gap. So in the center, I'm not doing a lot here. I'm doing more on the outer lips. I'm just lining them more, and then I go in with the center color. You can go in with different lipsticks as well. You can go in with like creamy lipsticks, matte lipsticks, silky lipsticks, because satin lipsticks, sorry, but they may not last all day. These lipsticks do tend to last, but again, your lips need to be quite hydrated as well, because sometimes your lips can look really dry with these lips. But you can go in with a little bit of lip gloss as well, or before you start, obviously you can prep the lips correctly as well. So I just really take my time here. I'm just using it's just a regular brush, by the way, that I'm using. I'm not using a lip liner. It's just got like a flat edge to it. And you can see how beautiful and flawless she looks. The makeup was just looking so beautiful that day. I was really amazed at the foundation. I need to grab a few more shades, to be honest with you, to be able to use it a little bit more often. At the moment, the shade, I think I've got the shade Almond, and it's okay on some people, but I do need a few darker shades. So here I'm just going to go over the eyeliner now, and now I'm going to make it thicker or longer or whatever I feel like doing here. And I really take my time. I always ask my model or bride to keep their eyes closed at this point. We can talk, but I do sometimes suggest that we don't talk as well, because it does move my hand, and it moves, when they're talking, the expression changes in their face as well. So I do try and have more silence at this time actually, and really take my time and keep checking. I keep opening the eyes very slightly, because I don't want obviously the eyeliner to touch the top of the eyes, and I just make sure that I keep building this up very slowly. Some people can do the eyeliner really quickly and get it perfect straight away. That's not me. I do get a lot of compliments on my eyeliner, and normally I'm kind of like thinking, well, I don't feel I'm that good at eyeliner, but I do take my time. I do it slowly. I'd rather spend the time doing it slowly and making sure I don't make any mistakes. Also, another hack that you can do is, once you've used your liquid eyeliner, you can go over it with a bit of gel, or you can do it the other way around. So you can go in with your gel. So like your Inglot is what I use a lot. You can go in with your gel liner and then your liquid, and that will actually seal the eyeliner and it won't budge too much at all. Sometimes I find when I use the one eyeliner, especially like gel, it can touch the top even though I've given it time to dry. So sometimes I will go over it with a bit of a liquid eyeliner as well, and instead of using powder, and that really locks it into place as well. So pretty much we are nearly done. Well, we are pretty much done with the makeup here. So I just did my final touches, and then we decided on the hair, which we just did very quickly. We had like a curls to one side, I think it was. I didn't have time to do much, but it was more about the makeup for this look for me. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I hope this has been helpful. I do try and do different bases, different eye makeup, just so that you can see what they look like, and then you can, pick and choose and try and see which one suits you or suits your clientele as well. So I will be bringing more tutorials, inshallah, and some will be in Urdu, some will be in English. I'm always kind of like mixing them up a bit, but I hope you've enjoyed this. Please do like and subscribe and comment positive comments underneath, and I will see you soon. Take care.